I just had cheesecake, so I've been energized to make this decision. This is part 2 of my Dick Grayson read along thing. I don't exactly know what to call it, but I wasn't sure if I was going to include these 2 books because I have already read them. But they count and they should be part of it because I do love them. But I will be reading Robin and Batman by Jeff Lemire, and I will be reading Dark Victory by Jeff Loeb with art by Tim Sale, one of the greatest Batman stories of all time. Everyone loves A Long Halloween. I'm a Dark Victory truther. I have read both of these before, so I'm starting out with saying I adore both of these stories. I think they're absolutely wonderful. They're both Robin, Dick Grayson origin stories. One is brand new, one is quite old. I guess, well, relatively old. I think it's like 30 years old, but it's very, very good, very wonderful. It's a companion piece to the whole Long Halloween quartet, kind of, but I'll just be reading Dark Victory. So, yeah, just up front, I have read them before and I do love them, but I haven't read them for a couple years, so I guess this is a little bit of a refresher just to see how I feel about it now that I have a different appreciation for Dick Grayson. I haven't read anything since the Nightwing book. So both of these are Robin origin stories and I felt like they fit. So I'll keep you updated on my reads for both of them. I know I just said I was going to read Robin, but I lied a little bit. I'm actually reading Miles Morales right now. I'm just cutting in because I need to complain to someone, and I'm hoping someone out there understands what I'm feeling. So I'm reading the Miles Morales Spider-Man run by Brian Michael Bendis. I bought the omnibuses volume 1 and 2 because it seemed like the easiest way for me to read them, because the first one is the beginning of Miles Morales. So I thought, stupid me, that volume 2 would be the continuation of that. Spoilers, by the way. So I read all of volume 1. It was great. Loved it. Opened up volume 2 and I see Miles Morales' mother, and I'm like, that's weird, because she died. She died. She was dead, and his dad took off. So I was like, am I Dane Bramage? Did I forget something? What's going on? I took it to Google, and it turns out that Volume 2 is not, in fact, a continuation of Volume 1. It takes place way later, because Volume 1 of Miles Morales, apparently I think is in 2011, and this is like 4 years, I say this, I gesture, this is like 4 years later. A bunch of stuff has happened, and unbeknownst to me, a Secret Wars event happened in 2015 that destroyed the multiverse, and I guess Miles got put in a universe where his mother is alive and never died, and his father never left, which is all fine and dandy, but oh my god, I am so annoyed. It's probably not going to affect the story too much, I guess, that I haven't read the other stuff. But one of my biggest problems with comics is that sometimes it feels really hard and inaccessible. Like, that's Sarah's issue, is she feels like, for her who's like never really read comics, except for the few that I've forced her to read, it's very inaccessible. I'm going to move the angle because my arm is getting tired. So a lot of people feel very fairly that comics are a little hard to get into because there's so much continuity for a lot of the superhero ones. Not the indie ones, obviously. There's a lot of comics you can go find that are fully contained stories in a book, and that's all you need to read. But then you get into superheroes. There's decades and decades of history that started before any of us were born, and it's hard to try and dive into. And Sarah has me to explain stuff to her for some of it, but I don't have anyone to explain it to me. So I have to go kind of find out stuff myself, and things like this Miles Morales thing are part of what frustrates me with comics, because there was no indication for me. Like, Volume 1 and Volume 2 of a series by the same author should be a direct continuation, okay? And I understand that's not always how it works. Whatever, I'm just irritated and it's late and I don't have anyone to talk to about it. But yeah, so if you're going to get into Miles Morales, which I definitely recommend, just know that if you buy Volume 1 and 2 from Brian Michael Bendis, it's not a direct continuation. A bunch of stuff actually happens in the middle, including Secret Wars, which apparently blows up the whole multiverse. And maybe it's because I don't know a ton about Marvel. Marvel seems a little more complicated to get into than DC, because I feel like with DC, you can throw me in anywhere and I have a vague understanding of what's going on, and it's not terribly confusing, and it resets every once in a while. Like every 10, 15 years, it does like a reset, kind of. And there's also frequent resets even within series. Like I just read the Chip Zdarsky, which is volume 1, which is not volume 1, but it's volume 1, and it's complicated to explain. However, Marvel, I don't even know where to begin. And now I have to decide if I want to go read Secret Wars, which is all fun and good. The problem is it's like a huge event, so it's got a ton of characters. I'm not going to go read like the She-Hulk comics around that era, or the Hulk, or Doctor Strange, or any of that stuff. I'm not going to go read 30 comics to understand what's happening in this event. And it seems like that's what it calls for. And for people who do read all of them, good for you. That must have been a fun payoff. But it's a little daunting when all I want is to understand what's happening in my Miles Morales comic. And there wasn't even a recap. Sometimes they do recaps, or they have like a little editor's note that says, read what happened here in whatever, and it'll tell you what it is. I opened this up, and Miles's mom is alive, and I have no clue what's going on. And I do understand that this is a Dick Grayson video, but who's the editor? I am. So I make all the choices. I will wrap this up, though, because I want to continue reading. But I am very irritated. I don't especially want to go read Secret Wars. I'm not a Marvel girl. I'm a Spider-Man girl. There is a difference. So I guess they just reset the whole world, and now I have to navigate it. Thank you for that. By the way, I read Jessica Jones by Brian Michael Bendis recently, and I really hated it. Stop using slurs if you are not part of the community that the slur is like based on, or whatever. Does that make sense? He used the N-word, and I really, 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 really didn't like it. It made me super uncomfortable. And he had Luke Cage speak in Ebonics, kind of, and it just made my skin crawl. He's the only character who talked like that. It was really weird. So now I have all kinds of mixed feelings on Brian Michael Bendis, but I want to read this Spider-Man book, and I've been rambling for like 5 entire minutes about Spider-Man in a Dick Grayson video. I won't cut it down, because objectively, this is kind of funny. Back to our regularly scheduled programming. Thank you, and I'm sorry. Sarah, what are you doing here?
Folding rat laundry.
What are we watching? Oh, it's on the TV.
Yeah, this is the first time we're watching it, and we're suckered in.
We're on season 5, episode 13.
Mm-hmm.
I'd never seen Grey's Anatomy before in my whole entire life, except the one clip. The one clip I've ever seen, which is Christina getting iced. The one with the icicle.
Okay.
I saw that.
I thought it was gonna be the.
Get ready for this one, kids. I remember seeing that in the trailer when the episode premiered. Way back in the day. Because if you don't know this, currently we're on season 20 of Grey's Anatomy in real life, and this is season 5. And back when season 5 was airing, I remember seeing commercials for it, because we used to watch shows on TV on cable, and there would be commercials that sometimes advertised the shows coming up.
If you were old enough to order DVDs off Netflix, please let us know.
Oh my God. The last DVD we ever got from Netflix was Eagle Eye with Shia LaBeouf in it, and I never watched it.
I don't remember what the last one we got is. My dad would get the movies and download them into our iTunes library.
I begged my dad to get Eagle Eye by Shia LaBeouf. I said, please, 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 I need to see this movie. And he did not want to let me do it. And then he eventually did, and I never watched it.
Well, I remember that's how I saw Repo with Kendra. So
oh,
the first
wow.
time I saw Repo, but it was the first time Kendra saw Repo. And I got a couple horror movies.
That was a long, long time ago.
Mm-hmm. I don't even like horror anymore.
That's what we've been watching Chucky.
There's some exceptions. I'm trying to find my horror.
She's in her horror era. I'm in my poor era. And when I say that, I mean I've been eating a lot of cookies and feeling a lot of sadness. Anyway,
What you been up to?
I've been entering my Dick era. I've been getting into Dick Grayson, and I did a video with a Nightwing book, and now I'm going to do a video with a couple of Robin books. And I have Robin and Batman by Jeff Lemire, which is a Robin origin story. And it's something I've read before, and it's very good and very sad, and one day I will make you read it, Sarah.
One day I will read it. I am in a reading slump again. I was doing so well for over a month, and then this week happened.
Mm-hmm. I love being an adult. It feels good all the time. There's never any downsides. So you're not reading anything right now?
No. I was in the middle of Laurel K. Hamilton, and I just stopped reading. I literally just turned it off. Didn't even think about it. I was just like, I'm done with this now. I turned it off and I started watching Stardew Valley playthrough.
Oh, wow. I can't wait to get back to Stardew Valley. There's a new update coming soon.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it.
And then I tried to start my Patricia Briggs reread, and then I stopped that and went back to the Stardew Valley playthrough.
Yeah.
I've been watching a lot of Try Guys.
I wonder if I should make you watch the Batman Arkham games. Or if you would hate it. Or would you love it?
The third one.
You not... What do you mean? Explain.
Batman Arkham games?
You'd watch the third one?
I have watched the third one. You had it on a couple of years ago while I was in the room.
I thought you were declaring that you would only watch the third one.
No, I have watched the third one. That's why I love it when the Joker calls him Bats.
Oh, yeah. I love it because you can sneak up on the goons. Do you know gooning? Goons, that means something now?
I do know that.
I don't know what... I'm not 100% on what it means. But there's a... Do you know?
The Game Grumps talked about it.
Oh... Well, I'll ask you off camera. But I love in the Arkham games, you sneak up on the goons and they're talking about you. And then when they turn around, they see you, they go, ah, and then you punch them in the balls and they just pass out. It's very fun. So our options are you watch me play it and I play really bad and take 3 times the amount of time to play it. Or
That one. Let's do that.
Or we watch a professional play it.
No, I want to watch you do it.
Okay, go. So in the beginning of the story, Bruce is training Robin. He's bringing him out like for the first time, trying to let him go out alone. It goes bad. He tells Robin to abort mission, come back. Robin does not. He's a child. He does what he wants. And then they're back in the Batcave. And Alfred's there listening. And he's kind of getting on Bruce's case. And Bruce is talking to Dick, who's strong enough. He says, your behavior is only proving me right, having a tantrum like a child. And then Dick walks away and Alfred's there alone with Bruce. And he says, don't say it, Alfred. And he says, say what, Master Bruce? You were going to say, but he is a child, Master Bruce. And then Alfred says, ah, yes. And then you would say, the child died with his parents. He needs to be a soldier or some such. And Bruce says, well, it's true. It only works if he has the armor he needs to survive out there. I wouldn't put a child in danger. He needs to become something more. You knew that. You knew that. And Alfred says, all I knew is that we were going to help a little boy who lost his family. You decided the rest without my opinion, as usual. But now here we are. And since we are, would it hurt to show a bit of compassion? Just a little bit of leniency. And Bruce says, leniency would have gotten him killed by the truck driver. Leniency would mean me bringing home a dead child. And Alfred says, yes, and you prefer to bring home a dead soldier. Very well. Says, you know he doesn't have to be just like you, Master Bruce. Perhaps the answer is letting him be who he is. And I'm okay with like a very not nice Bruce, Bruce is very cruel in this. And I'm fine with it because sometimes it serves Robin that he's cruel. I don't typically like him being mean to Alfred, but I just wanted to share that part with you because it's really good. Specifically the dead soldier part, because Alfred is so perfect. I'm a big fan of Alfred, and I read that and I was just like, I have to say it. I have to read it. So I want to wrap up my reading of Robin and Batman by Jeff Lemire. Again, 5 stars. Wonderful story. I adore it. The premise is Robin, his origin, versus Killer Croc, which his story kind of mirrors Robin's, because He worked in the circus that Robin and the other flying Graysons were working in. He saw them die. He would just watch Dick Grayson be adored by his parents, watching with jealousy and sadness as it happens. And the story's going through teaching Robin how to Robin, and little stuff I don't want to spoil necessarily, but the climax is that Croc gets Bruce and Robin has to go save him. And that's what it is. It's about, Bruce kind of softening to Dick a little bit and learning how to be a father kind of and have, empathy. Because obviously Bruce sees so much of himself in Dick, because they both lost their parents. They both saw their parents die, just immediately orphaned, immediately basically alone in the world. Dick more alone than Bruce, because I don't know how often it gets brought up, but Bruce did have Alfred. Dick didn't have anyone. So Bruce took him in, and that's that story. Not a ton to it other than a lot of character stuff. I highly recommend, especially if you are looking to get into more Robin stories or you just like Robin generally. Wonderful. I love Jeff Lemire. Always really, really good. So that's a prized comic in my collection. I know that reading of it was a little bit brief. I don't know if I'll have more to say about my next read. I'm hoping I do. I'm going to try and keep you updated. But if I'm being 100% honest, I'm also watching The Walking Dead right now. So my attention is on both. I promise I can pay attention to the comic while I'm watching Walking Dead. I have seen these before. So I am now moving on to Dark Victory, which again I have read before. It's another Robin origin. I think it's kind of considered maybe the most canon origin of Robin. It's very loved. It goes right in hand with The Long Halloween, and that's one of the most famous, beloved Batman stories of all time. I love this story. I love Dark Victory actually more than The Long Halloween by quite a bit. This is another situation where, oddly enough, Killer Croc is the kind of mirror to Robin. I don't know if there's people who have spoke on that or if there's something more about that I'm missing because I'm dumb, but we'll see. This one, I believe, is significantly longer than Robin and Batman, so I'm hoping I have more to say about it as I'm reading it. But I am also watching The Walking Dead right now. I'm on season 2. I have seen it before, though, so I'm assuming it's going to fade into the background. We're on the farm right now, so I'm not going to be missing anything. And Sarah is not here to hold the camera for me, so I'm going to be getting the best angles that I possibly can as I read this. So I will now enter into my journey of Robin origins. I want to real quick say we got Calendar Man in this. I forgot because it's going again right off of Long Halloween, which had the holiday killer. And Calendar Man, they're Hannibal Lectering basically, which is the same kind of thing I've seen for, that's how they did the Arkham Asylum games with Calendar Man, Arkham City specifically. I haven't seen too many depictions of Calendar Man. Typically, I feel like they make him kind of goofy, but I like him menacing. I like a good scary Calendar Man, because while it's a silly concept, if you play anything the right way, it's not very silly. He loves killing people, and he loves the holidays, and I can get behind that. Not the killing, the holidays. Christmas. Not pro-murder, by the way. In a shocking turn of events, it would seem I have forgotten quite a bit about Dark Victory. It's a lot of mafia stuff, because it's right off Long Halloween, which was big with Falcone and stuff. I keep saying and stuff. I'm sorry. Big with Falcone. And it's continuing that story. Harvey has just fallen. He was the wonderful, beautiful example of awesome person. Now he's a half-burned monster who they think was doing all this awful stuff, which he was he? I haven't read Long Halloween in a while, so forgive me. But there's also a lot in here about Bruce/Batman really quickly turning his back on Harvey. Like, Catwoman got upset with him because everyone's like, well, Harvey was your friend, and he's like, he's not anymore. And Catwoman is not pleased with how cold Batman is being. But, Harvey's a bad guy now. So what are you going to do? We haven't even gotten to Robin yet. I'm a good chunk in and he's not here yet. It's all just the mobster stuff, which is interesting because I think one of them is dead. I think Falcone is dead, the main Falcone, and his daughter is paralyzed because she fell off a roof. So there's like this kind of power vacuum that they're trying to figure out. It's all good stuff. If you like the mafia things, then you'll enjoy Long Halloween and Dark Victory. I'm here for Robin though, so get to Robin, please. Okay, wow, so much of this is about the Falcones. Still haven't gotten to Robin. I don't know what to say. Do I feel foolish? A little bit, but I also know there's a ton of Robin stuff in here, so it won't be totally to waste. And because the video is about Robin, I'm going to not really talk about the other parts of this story necessarily, more than I already have. I for one, don't really want to spoil stuff for any book I read, really, unless I have a point I'm trying to make which requires spoilers. I'm trying to encourage you to maybe go read these, and if I tell you all the twists and turns, you won't want to. But I'll say a lot of the villains pop up in this, because this whole omnibus actually has quite a bit of all the villains. But again, the main focus is the Falcone family, or Falcone, depending on where you get your information. But have not approached Robin yet. So I'm going to not do another update until Robin pops up, and then I will tell you how it comes to be. Okay, I just want to show how they introduce the Graysons. So this is episode 8 or something. So basically it's like, oh, hey, here's some tickets to the circus. And it's like, oh, man, we know what happens at the circus, don't we? We know what happens at the circus. And then it goes, it's like, oh. And then this is like the opening page. No dialogue, which I am a big fan of. Next page. Double splash page. Just heartbreaking immediately. Oh my God. They're all panicking, freaking out. The sorrow in his eyes. Next page again, no dialogue. One of the most beautiful pieces of art I've ever seen, because obviously, if you know anything about Batman, you've probably seen this exact pose with Thomas, Martha, Bruce. Obviously, that's the whole point. Everyone in this picture disappearing, but the child and Bruce looking at him because he just knows exactly what it feels like to be that child. This picture ruins my whole life, and I mean that. I mean that so sincerely. Ruined. It's so beautiful. Another one of the more memorable pages or sets of pages for me, with the Dick Grayson stuff right up against the flashbacks to Bruce Wayne, because again, the whole thing is Bruce sees himself in Dick Grayson, and that's why he adopted him. This in particular, Alfred, then and now kind of thing, which I don't want to give away too many pages, but oh God, I love it. I love it so much. Poor Alfred, by the way. Can I just say, as an Alfred lover, that poor man has been through so much. And I know Bruce has too, but no one ever talks about Alfred and his suffering, having to watch these boys he loves that he considers sons go risk their lives every night because of, I guess, untreated depression a little bit, and a guilt complex and a God complex and the general cockiness that comes with being a billionaire. But if Alfred has no fans, it is because I am dead. I love that man. I think out of all the characters, Damon included, Alfred might possibly be just like way up there. He's always so good. When they have a writer who knows how to write Alfred, perfect. Which is why when he headbutts Clark Kent in Injustice, I'm just like, oh, that's amazing. Glad I spent $80 on this stupid omnibus, even though, as it turns out, they don't have the entire story collected in omnibuses. Now I gotta go get a bunch of paperbacks for Injustice Part 2, which I wasn't aware of before I bought the 2 omnibuses. But that's neither here nor there. another thing that's neither here nor there. I'm watching The Walking Dead. I don't care what anybody says. Season 2 is good. And also, all the Lori haters, I'm not a fan of Lori necessarily, but so far she's not really doing anything that deserves all the hate. It's a lot like Skylar from Breaking Bad, where, I mean, Shane straight up assaulted her, and people are just like, Lori's so annoying. All she ever does is tell everyone what to do. You're crazy. You need to get your head straight. Anyway, episode 5, season 2. So far, I don't know if you care, but I don't have anyone to talk to about it because Sarah's asleep. I will say, still, as it was before, Daryl's my favorite character. I love him. I'll love him till the day I die. I'm hoping his spin-off show is good. I've heard good things. Don't know where to watch it. That's a problem. For later. Anyway, I'll be right back with more updates on Walking Dead, probably, and also this story, but mostly Walking Dead because I just have a lot of things to say. Like example 1. So like, the zombies are eating people, right? That's the whole point. Wouldn't they, after some point, because they're not like, their bodies aren't working, wouldn't they put so much flesh, because they're eating animals too, wouldn't there eventually be so much in them that they physically can't eat anymore? Like, I know they're decaying. I don't know how if the zombies are going to be different, like in the last season, because it's 12 years later, and it's like, it stands to reason these bodies would be so decayed that in a decade, would we truly be left with zombies that can walk at all? Because they are rotting corpses. How much could they walk when eventually their stuff's going to stop working? I know it's like magic or whatever, but again, how much do you have to eat as a zombie before you can't physically eat anymore? And I guess they'd still be a threat because they'd probably still bite, but wouldn't there just be too much in there? Sound off below. I meant to text this to someone last night because it was my thought process, but I guess I shouldn't be sitting here nitpicking zombie mythology, but I am, because that's what I do when I'm all by myself, as I overthink everything. So tell me, would we still have zombies in 12 years? Because there's no way it's new people dying. I don't know if there's millions of people still alive that are just constantly dying to make new zombies. Anyway, riddle me that. So I'm nearly done, and I think I misremember the story quite a bit, at least how much Robin was in it. It's a 14-part story, and he enters in at like 7 or 8, so he's really not a part at all of the entire first half, and he's not even a super huge part of the second half. It is Bruce taking him, and obviously Bruce is trying to figure out what happened to Dick's parents because it was obviously foul play. And Dick also thinks that, and that leads to how he finds out that Bruce Wayne is Batman, because he obviously doesn't know in the beginning. And at first he really doesn't like Bruce because he abandoned him a lot. He has other things to do, i.e. being Batman, so he's not around a lot, and Dick takes that kind of personally. And then obviously it's all fine and good when he finds out that he's Batman. Now they're both working together to figure out what happened to the lines, the trapeze rope that was made to break, obviously, and kill the Graysons. I have about 2.5 parts left of the story. I feel like it's maybe more a story about kind of the loss of Harvey Dent and how it impacted everyone. There's a panel where Harvey is holding someone like a chokehold as a human shield, telling someone else to shoot him, basically. And Batman's watching, and he's just like, it's hard to remember a time where we were all friends. And that kind of is the thing haunting the story a little bit, is just like the hurt of the loss of Harvey, because Harvey is being split in two. His bad half kind of doesn't even really recognize that he ever used to be someone else. It's very emotional. Obviously, this is very heavy on character stuff. I'm sorry I'm shaking this so much. If you're into the character stuff with Batman, which I am, it's always my very favorite, then this is a really great one to read. Kind of same with Long Halloween. I feel like that one's more plotty than character-y, but like anything with really heavy character, I'm immediately down for. And again, so far this is really great. I love all the sad stuff with Harvey. and Gordon got made commissioner in this, so it's also setting up some status quo, like quite a bit of status quo actually, with Harvey, Dick, and Commissioner Gordon. So that is where I'll leave you until I finish the story. I finished Dark Victory. I liked the ending quite a bit because a lot of the stuff that kept popping up was how Bruce was very alone. When his parents died, he felt alone, and Alfred felt like he'd failed a little bit for not making sure he knew he wasn't. And Alfred tried to make up for that with Dick. And the last panel of the book has Bruce saying how he promised his parents that he would make sure all the evil in the city was gone, and now he didn't have to do it alone because he has Robin. And I thought that was a pretty sweet little sentiment. And that's the note we leave the story on, is these two very similar people found each other. And say what you want about how messed up it is that Bruce is making a kid be a vigilante. It is, sure, but you know, it's fine. I guess this is the end of the video, actually. I would highly recommend both of these books for anyone who likes Batman at all, especially if you're a Nightwing or Dick Grayson fan. Give both of these 5 stars, some of the best Batman comics that exist. For now, that is the end of my Dick Grayson era until the last volume comes out of the current run, and then I don't know which ones I'll read next. But thank you for watching. I would love it if you commented below which ones you like or what you thought of these books so I can see. And I'll see you next time. Bon voyage.